we have Jayson Wells. Jayson is originally from Cleveland, Ohio. He played overseas for 13 years, played college ball at Indiana State, has worked with Nike grassroots basketball, and currently athletes and trains them on more than basketball, but life. He's really passionate about helping them understand how their work ethic, attitude, and abilities to communicate well impact their future. Jayson, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Jayson, will you please tell everyone a little more about your background and some of the places ball has taken you over the years?
Originally from Cleveland, as you mentioned, and I used to have this funny thing. It doesn't work out so much with the numbers now, but back when I was 34, it was almost like the first 17 years of my life, I never left Cleveland, or it was very regional. And the second 17 years of my life, I pretty much haven't been back. So my life is really like my early and high school years was all Cleveland. Mm-hmm. And then once I went to Terre Haute and to Indiana State to go to school, I pretty much haven't been back. I went from Terre Haute to Stockholm, Sweden, and literally all around the world from there. I think again, the biggest thing is for us as adults to show. Like, it has to be action. It has to be a verb. It can't be tell. It can't be expect them to know, or it can't be, the cliche of when I was your age, this is what I was like. It cannot be that. These kids kids and young people, they don't learn like that. You have to show them. And I'm blessed enough to be in this small window of opportunity where physically I can still show them. Like, I can get on the court and do anything that I have my players do. But I know that that's going to wear out sometime too. So I think what's hugely important is I like to refer to it as the three-headed monster. So you have parents, teachers, and coaches. You have to, and there's a balance, and it's a fine line, but there's a balance. You have to do development, but you also have to incorporate that into games. And I think that's where we're lost now is, there's this big thing about the European training method and how they're so skillful. It's not rocket science.
No.
They practice 5 or 6 times in comparison to one game.
Exactly.
And we play 5 or 6 games in comparison to one practice. So it's not rocket science why they're more skilled than we are. Because that's what they do. They practice.
One things. The first piece that you already talked about is the influx of skilled developers. How does a parent know who to go to? Like, what should they look for? I've talked to some other people, and they've given some advice on how to determine how do they know?
That's a tough. So I would definitely say that to a parent is, they should have enough respect, or even if that's the first contact, like if there's no other scenario, right. You have to talk to this kid. Hey, how are you? I'm Coach Jay. Hey, where's your parents?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Or here's my information. Give it to your parents. Not having the direct dialogue with the kid. Can't happen.
So what it sounds like I hear you saying is that parents need to create some boundaries early.
For sure.
If you that your child has the potential, legitimate potential, to play Division I or college athletics, it's important that they set the tone with some type of boundaries that protects their child, because ultimately their child is their responsibility, not the coach's responsibility, and that they're creating an opportunity to teach their kid how to behave professionally.
Absolutely.
With adults.
Absolutely. It's amazing that you use the word boundaries. I use the word buffer. So parents used to be the buffer. Parents used to be you got somebody that's in my position. You got a skill development coach that's saying, like, I would like to work with your kid and I can get your kid to Florida State. The parent used to say, yeah, okay, but, we're going to keep going this way. But nowadays, when you pass that information on, it's the parent probably living into the dream more than the kid. And it's like, oh, Coach Jay said he can get you to Florida State. One of the things that I'm really interested in now is the whole manager thing. Like, I think back, the best managers played at some point, maybe weren't good enough to make it. And I just listened to a podcast. I listen to Hardwood Hustle all the time, my guys, Alan and Adam. And they just had two guys on there. Both of them were managers. One is the head coach at a high school now. The other one's the AD. And they were managers at South Carolina, and they're sitting there talking about, flying and going to every SEC venue and going to Maui to play their senior year. And like, they're managers. And so for a kid, that you're going to have to swallow your ego.
Exactly.
But you, like, being a manager at a Division I school, you're on the team. You live the life. You do everything that the kids do. You just don't run up and down the court. So I try my best to help young people understand that the playing avenue is such a small avenue, and there's so much more than, like, and even if playing becomes the avenue, it's still going to stop.
Exactly.
I was 33, 34 when I retired, which in basketball years, I played over 25 years. But in life years, I'm not even halfway done yet, hopefully. So yes.
The last thing I want to talk about is, keeping in line with this point, is renegotiating your identity around not being this athlete anymore. I remember when I stopped playing ball, and I'm 6'1", and so people will always
footer.
Yeah,
we got a footer.
People would always come up to me and say, do you hoop? And I'd be like, yeah, of course. Yeah, of course I play. And they say, who do you play for? Then I'd create a team. Like, no, Angie, you don't play. Like, your career is done, baby girl. Give it up. But it's so hard to let that go. You talk about your experience with shifting from being a pro ball player to creating this new identity, and some advice for some ball players out there who are in the midst of this.
I think you've been in my closet or in my book bag or something for the last 2 weeks, because I, no exaggeration, just had this conversation playing, and it's been 5 years this month. I said I gave it up to January 2011, and but you have to still be coached. Everything is going to revolve back to being coached and shown and all of those. And my life is kind of, I say it's amazing, but in actuality, it probably wasn't, because I learned my stuff was trial and error.
Yep.
With a whole bunch of error. I didn't necessarily have anybody telling me how to do it, or that here's how I
when you go through the grind of what you've gone through, you have a lot of wisdom and experience to offer. And
I think that's a part of it. I was told this. It's funny when I tell this story. His name is Dirk. He's a German guy, and his name is Dirk, ironically, but not that Dirk. But he told me this, and he just told me this maybe a year ago. And I definitely never thought of it, how he worded it. But since he's told me and worded it to me like this, I've really started to dissect it a little bit. And his original attraction to me was, he said, Jayson, you have 3 rare qualities. You possess 3 qualities that not a lot of people possess, all 3 of them. You have experience, you have a skill set to be able to relay that experience, and you got a passion to do it. Some people have 1 out of the 3. Fewer people may have 2 out of the 3, but very few have all 3. And my circle is Jamal and Mike, and we got WNBA girls, and we got, all kind of stuff to where you're now clearly in this same. And I think where we get caught up is because the people that are in our immediate circle possess those 3 qualities. Yeah. I think we get this misconception that there's more of us than there really are. And there's not.
If people have heard something that you've said and they want to get in contact with you and want to learn more about what you're doing, want you to come speak to their kids, what is the way that they can reach you?
My social networking or social network handles, Instagram is Jayson.Wells, and that's, you can blame my mama as a Y in Jayson, so JAYSON. .WELLS is Instagram, and Twitter is Jayson Wells _, no dot, but there's an underscore at the end. So just my whole name _